Now come in and have a sit down. Good morning, representatives, and the House will come to order. Reading clerk for the 8th day of session 2025, January the 23rd, will come to order. Reading clerk, please take the roll. Could we please have the chief clerk take the roll? The reading clerk can stand at ease. Thank you.
Alamand, Andrew, Angelos, Banks, Bear, Brady, Bratton, Brown Gary, Brown Landon, Byron, Campbell Lisa, Campbell Kevin, Chestick, Clouston, Connolly, Davis, Eklund,
Excused.
Erickson, Filer, Geringer, Guggenmoss, Haroldson, Harshman,
Excused.
Heiner, Heft, Jarvis, Johnson, Kelly, Knapp, Larson Lloyd, Larson JT, Lawley, Lean, Locke, Lucas, McCann, Nicholas, Ottman,
Excused.
Pendergraft, Posey, Provenza, Riggins,
Excused.
Rodriguez Williams, Schmid, Sherwood, Singh, Smith, Storer, Strock,
Excused.
Stivar, Tarver, Thayer, Washut, Wasserberger, Webb, Weber, Worf, Williams, Winter, Wiley,
Excused. Or no.
Wiley, Yin, Speaker Nyman.
Here.
Ottman, Strock,
Fellow members and guests, please join me as Representative Washut leads us in the opening prayer.
Like many of you members, I wake up at night, sometimes struggle to get back to sleep. So I hope this prayer gives us something useful. Quiet our minds, O Lord. We are so busy, so pressed for time, so rushed. Quiet our minds, O Lord. Your message, O Lord, is not in the thunder of our day, but in the settling dew at the dawn. Not in the shouting, but in the whispers. Quiet our minds, O Lord. Calls, texts, emails are accumulating. Answer one, two more arrive. Bills, and more bills. Constituents, lobbyists, elected officials clamor for our attention. Quiet our minds, O Lord. One after another, complicated topics come before us. Some are familiar, others are foreign to our experience. Yet the task is ours to learn, to understand, and to act on each bill. This day, O Lord, we acknowledge our own deficiencies and pray that you might grant us the grace to discern. Grant to us a measure of the wisdom that you bestowed upon Solomon. Grant us the ability to hear the whispers of truth above the cacophony of opinions. In the hours ahead, when our minds are not quiet, when we are uncertain, confused, or misinformed, help us to pause and to reason. Be at our side, O Lord. Amen.
Amen. Fellows, members, and guests, please join me in the salute to our flag. Meet each other, representatives. Representatives, we'll go ahead and find our seats. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you encouraging each other this morning and extending the right hand of fellowship. Very good. Okay, I've got a couple privileges of the floor, so ladies first. Representative Connolly. Oh, oh, that's right. We've got one last outlier here that needs to be recognized, located or.
Harshman.
Here.
59 present, or 60 present, 2 excused.
All right, we have all of them assembled. All right. Representative Connolly, you have something?
Mr. Speaker, privilege of the floor.
Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to recognize my city council and mayor from the wonderful city that's at the foot of the Bighorns. Please rise. And just one more, you may have seen me in many different places around the Capitol the last couple of weeks, but there's 2 of us, and I just want to recognize my sister Carolyn Fox up there in the gallery.
So you were not seeing double, representatives. So you're still okay. You're not too tired yet. And I would also then make note that several of these opportunities to be able to speak are because we have a lot of elected officials in the Capitol this week. And so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of folks out there we're going to know, but we want to recognize those folks and appreciate them. Representative Harshman,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Privilege of the floor.
please proceed.
Thank you. From our county, number 1 on our license plates and number 1 in your heart. From the center of the state, city of Casper, I have with us our mayor, Ray Pacheco. If you'd stand, Mayor. We have council members, Kyle Gamroth. And then we have Vice Mayor, Mike McIntosh. Please stand. And then our city manager, Carter Napier, and our chief of staff for our city, Fleur Trimmel. Please welcome to the People's House.
Welcome to the House. Representative Campbell,
Mr. Speaker, privilege of the floor.
please.
I too have an elected representative from one county representing the great town of Evansville, the Honorable City Councilman Greg Flesvig. Please stand.
Thank you all for joining us and welcome to the House of Representatives. Representative Larson, JT,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Privilege of the floor.
please.
Members, in our north gallery, we have Sweetwater County Assessor Dave Devis in the back on the bench there. I just welcome him to the House.
Any other recognitions? If not, Journal Committee report.
Your Journal Committee reports that the Journal of January 22nd, 2025 has been read and recommends that it be approved. Representatives Jarvis and Posey.
Thank you, Mr. Reader. Doctor of the Day, Miss Lisa Finkelstein, MD, but it's going to be a little different. She's not actually on the back bench. She is going to be serving as our virtual doctor today. She is a urologist. I know. Okay, Representative Brown may have some questions about this later. Urologist from Jackson Hole. And so this is to make aware of the different opportunities through virtual medical. And so that's the recognition of that today. So telehealth, yes. And so Lisa Finkelstein, MD. Messages from the Senate, we do not have any, so we're moving on. We're going to move on to the portion of introduction of bills. And this morning we are at that order of business of introduction, reading, and reference of bills. The first bill for our consideration is House Bill 174.
House Bill 174, sponsored by Representative Haroldson.
First reading of the bill.
Carrying of concealed weapons, age requirement.
House Bill 174 will be assigned to our committee number 1, Judiciary. Next bill for our consideration, House Bill 103.
House Bill 103, sponsored by Representative Sherwood.
First reading of the bill.
Columbarium regulation.
House Bill number 103 will be assigned to our committee number 2, Appropriations. House Bill number 107, next bill for our consideration.
House Bill 107, sponsored by Representative Harshman.
First reading of the bill.
Wyoming Generational Investment Account.
House Bill 107 will be assigned to our committee number 2, Appropriations. House Bill number 173, next bill for our consideration.
House Bill 173, sponsored by Representative Haroldson.
First reading of the bill.
Independent candidate requirements.
House Bill 173 will be assigned to our committee number 2, Appropriations. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 229.
House Bill 229, sponsored by Representative Nicholas. High Plains Research Station and Arboretum Historic Site.
House Bill 229 will be assigned to our committee number 2, Appropriations. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 232.
House Bill 232, sponsored by Representative Haroldson.
First reading of the bill.
Elections, hand counting for recounts.
House Bill 232 will be assigned to our committee number 2, Appropriations. House Bill number 270, next bill for our consideration.
House Bill 270, sponsored by Representative Bear.
First reading of the bill.
Permanent Mineral Trust Fund, spending policy.
House Bill 270 will be assigned to our committee number 2, Appropriations. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 271.
House Bill 271, sponsored by Representative Bear.
First reading of the bill.
Common School Account, spending policy amount.
House Bill 271 will be assigned to our committee number 2, Appropriations. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 276.
House Bill 276, sponsored by Representative Lawley.
First reading of the bill.
State agreements to perform immigration functions.
House Bill 276 will also be assigned to our committee number 2, Appropriations. House Bill 85, next bill for our consideration.
House Bill 85, sponsored by Appropriations.
First reading of the bill.
Local approving for simulcasting.
House Bill 85 will be assigned to committee number 6, Travel. House Bill number 275, next bill for our consideration.
House Bill 275, sponsored by Representative Byron.
First reading of the bill.
Treatment of animals.
House Bill 275 will also be assigned to committee number 6, Travel. Next bill for our consideration, House Bill 179.
House Bill 179, sponsored by Representative Larson Lloyd.
First reading of the bill.
Department of Transportation, land transfer.
House Bill 179 will be assigned to committee number 8, Transportation. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 269.
House Bill 269, sponsored by Representative McCann.
First reading of the bill.
Naturopathic medicine licensure.
House Bill 269 will be assigned to committee number 10, Health. Next bill for our consideration, House Bill 273.
House Bill 273, sponsored by Representative Rodriguez Williams.
First reading of the bill.
Wyoming Pregnancy Centers, autonomy and rights.
For House Bill 273 will be assigned to committee number 10, Health and Labor. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 274.
House Bill 274, sponsored by Representative Rodriguez Williams.
First reading of the bill.
Biological males in women's sports.
House Bill 274 will be assigned to committee number 10, Labor Health. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see we signed quite a few bills to our number 2 committee appropriations. They have not had anything really to deal with so far but the budget. And working through that, they are getting that kind of circulated where they have some time, and they said that they would be glad to hear some bills. And so in an effort to try to get more of these bills out and get them heard and get them to where we can hopefully move them up the list, that is what we're doing there. So, moving on. Reports from standing committees.
House Bill 235, sponsored by Representative Andrew. Career Technical Education Equipment and Supplies. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 4, Education, to whom is referred House Bill 235, Career Technical Education Equipment and Supplies, respectfully report same back to the House with the recommendation it do pass with the following amendments. Ayes, Representatives Andrew, Bratton, Erickson, Gugamas, Kelly, Lawley, Strzok, Williams. Noes, Representative Singh. Representative Andrew, Chairman. House Bill 258, sponsored by House Appropriations, State-Funded Capital Construction. Mr. Speaker, your Committee Number 2 Appropriations, to whom is referred House Bill 258, State-Funded Capital Construction, respectfully report same back to the House with the recommendation that do pass with the following amendments. Ayes, Representatives Allemand, Angelos, Bear, Haroldson, Pendergraft, Sherwood, Smith. Representative Bear, Chairman. House Bill 259, sponsored by House Appropriations, Supplemental K-12 School Facilities Appropriations 2. Mr. Speaker, your Committee Number 2 Appropriations, to whom is referred House Bill 259, Supplemental K-12 School Facilities Appropriations 2, respectfully report same back to the House with a recommendation do pass with the following amendments. Ayes, Representatives Allemand, Angelos, Bear, Haroldson, Pendergraft, Sherwood, Smith. Representative Bear, Chairman.
Thank you, Reading Clerk. We are now at that order of business of bills on second reading. First bill for our consideration is House Bill 94.
House Bill 94, sponsored by Representative Andrew, Charter School Authorization Amendments.
We have no amendments, so House Bill 94 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration is House Bill 96.
House Bill 96, sponsored by Representative McCann, prohibiting mask, vaccine, and testing discrimination.
House Bill 96 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration is House Bill 121.
House Bill 121, sponsored by Representative Singh, hospital pricing transparency.
We have amendments. One amendment at this point. And so, hey, Representative Brown.
Thank you,
Please
Mr.
proceed.
Speaker. I move second reading amendment number 1 to House Bill, what number are we on? 116? 121, and would ask for your favorable consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, what you'll see with this bill is kind of what I talked about yesterday. If we want to have punitive damages for not following the transparency on this, I am understanding of that. I get the sentiment behind this. What I'm trying to do is watch out for those critical care hospitals that are already struggling across our state. So what you're going to see is a stair step of punitive damages. So for the first time that they're found out of compliance, you have a 30-day window. Get yourself back into compliance, get it taken care of, and if you're not in compliance within 30 days, you'll be charged $100 a day for every day that you're not in compliance. If a subsequent issue is found, second time, that fee then increases to $500 a day. And then on the third time, if there's anything done, it'll raise up to that same punitive damage that we see with our non-critical access hospitals, up to $1,000. So really what I'm trying to do here, as I mentioned yesterday, we have one particular hospital that may not even make it through session. We have 20 out of the 26 hospitals in this state that are operating at a negative margin right now, meaning they are actually losing money. And so if we're going to be punitive, let's be at least punitive in the understanding that we're taking money from something that's already losing money. And we're actually really starting to hurt our communities and hoping that we can try to solve that economic problem of losing money on a daily basis with operating these hospitals. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Representative Brown. Representative Singh for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to say that I consider this a friendly amendment and that I worked with the good chairman of transportation on this. I wouldn't want to see any of our smaller hospitals be put in a situation where they would be forced further into the red. And so I don't think this waters down the bill.
Thank you, Representative. No other discussion? Question being called. You are asking being vote on second reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 121. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The amendment has been adopted. House, let's see, 170. Oh, that's third. House Bill 121, having been read 2 separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Moving on to the third reading consent list. Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the following bills for third reading consent list. House Bill 18, House Bill 46, House Bill 47, and House Bill 80.
Thank you, Mr. Majority Floor Leader. Would anyone like to remove any of the bills from the consent list? Any to be removed? Representative Nicholas.
Yeah, I would move to remove House Bill 80. There's an amendment coming on that.
House Bill 80. House Bill 80 has been removed from the consent list. Any other bills? Seeing none. Having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall these bills pass? These are bills HB 18, HB 46, HB 47. Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
I need to read them in first, don't I?
Reading clerk, read the bills in, please.
House Bill 18, sponsored by Education, Career Technical Education Funding, an act relating to school finance. House Bill 46, sponsored by Representative Strzok, Homeschool Freedom Act, an act relating to education. House Bill 47, sponsored by Blockchain. Secretary of State, expedited filings, an act relating to the administration of government.
Allemand? Andrew? Angelos? Banks? Bear? Brady? Bratton? Brown Gary? Brown Landon? Byron? Campbell Elisa? Campbell Kevin? Chestick? Clauston? Connolly? Davis? Eklund, excused. Erickson? Filer? Geringer? Guggenmoss? Haroldson? Harshman? Harshman?
Excused.
Heiner? Heft? Jarvis? Johnson? Kelly? Knapp? Larson Lloyd? Larson JT? Lawley? Lawley? Lean? Locke? Lucas? McCann? Nicholas? Ottman? Pendergraft? Posey? Provenza? Riggins, excused. Rodriguez Williams? Schmidt? Sherwood? Singh? Smith? Storer? Strzok? Stivar? Tarver? Thayer? Washut? Wasserberger? Webb? Weber? Worf? Williams? Winter? Wiley? Yin? Speaker Nyman? Are there any changes? Harshman, excused to aye. Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 60 aye, 2 excused. As for House Bill 18, are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 60 aye, 2 excused. As for House Bill 46, are there any changes? Storer, aye to no. Provenza, aye to no. Sherwood, aye to no. Shustak, aye to no. Nicholas, aye to no. Yin, aye to no. Further changes? Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 54 aye, 6 no, 2 excused. As for House Bill 47, are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 60 aye, 2 excused.
Having been read 3 separate times, the question is to the bill is passed is done. Having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bills 18, 46, and 47 have passed the House. Moving on to our regular third reading. We are having some amendments drafted currently and some new ones. We are at that order of business of bills on third reading and final passage. The first bill for our consideration is House Bill 116.
House Bill 116, sponsored by Representative Ottman. Driver's licenses, unauthorized alien restrictions, an act relating to driver's licenses.
We have amendments. Representative Washit, Amendment number 1 to House Bill 116, third reading. Representative Washit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 116 and request your favorable consideration. I was thinking about how this bill is going to work in practice and what our objectives are. And if you consider that there's a population of these undocumented individuals in our country, and then there's a smaller subset of that group that have been issued driver's licenses by one of these states that issue driver's licenses to undocumented individuals. And then there's a further smaller subset of those individuals who might utilize that driver's license on a Wyoming highway. And then there's a very small sliver of those drivers who will be driving on Wyoming highways, commit a traffic violation, be detected by law enforcement, and be stopped so that we can actually enforce the provisions of this bill. What my amendment does is it authorizes Wyoming law enforcement to use driver's license checkpoints to verify the validity of a driver's license without a traffic violation. Checkpoints are utilized in a number of states across the country, and they work very effectively. The ability of officers to do a checkpoint is going to increase the likelihood that they're going to detect people violating this particular statute. And yes, they'll stop some of us as well. But if we don't do something like this, the effectiveness of this statute, if this becomes law, to actually detect and identify these individuals and seize their driver's licenses or whatever other penalties we might apply, is going to be minuscule. Very, very few of these folks are going to be contacted by Wyoming law enforcement without an amendment like this. And so I ask your favorable consideration.
Thank you, Representative Washit. Representative Filer for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And it is never fun going against my good chairman of my committee. But I think we all need to look at the Constitution before we decide to pass this. I think there's a little bit of a constitutionality problem with search and seizure. Thanks. On and against.
Thank you, Representative. Any others? First time. Representative Angelos, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't know if I'm on or for this yet, but I do want to explain a situation that's going on in my community. There is a online shopping business that most people utilize that delivers supposedly within 2 days. And we have a lot of delivery drivers who work for that, who drive have Colorado license plates. I could say the state, right? State to the south. And they do not speak English. They are using a Google app to kind of get them where they need to go. They've ended up in the middle of ranchers' properties. They've ended up delivering on old methane roads. They're leaving boxes beside the road. On my own county road, I've seen boxes beside a fence. They cannot read English, they cannot speak English, and they're driving on our roads. So I just want to throw that out there, that it is a problem in our community, and maybe that helps make your decision. I don't like the premise of just pulling anybody over, but I know there needs to be something that we can address the issues that we're having in our own communities, so.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Brown, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As in the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution of illegal search and seizure and without warrants, you can't violate a person's constitutional rights. And I will say that illegals do not have constitutional rights. You would still be violating the constitutional rights of the citizens by doing this.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Kelly, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and against the amendment. Well, I understand the good chairman's reasoning, and it's logical and it makes sense. And I also understand that the highest court has ruled that such checkpoints do not violate the Constitution. Personal principle, I don't want police stopping people without probable cause.
Thank you, Representative. Any others? First time. Second time. Back to the bringer. Representative Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So these statutes occur in a number of our states. They have been litigated. The courts have found that they are not violative of the Constitution as long as we do them correctly and we take a random selection of drivers and we're not targeting a particular individual. At that point, it would be a Fourth Amendment violation. But as long as you're taking every fifth car or every third car off the highway, everyone has an equal chance. Government has a state interest in making sure that everybody has a driver's license, has proper insurance, those sorts of things. And if we want this statute to do what we propose that it does, we need to give law enforcement the tools to actually enhance the number of violators that we have the opportunity to detect. Please vote aye.
Thank you, Representative. Members, you are voting on third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 116. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The amendment has not been adopted. So what do we have on that? Okay, we are, let's see, having been read 3 separate times, the question is on House Bill 116, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Allemand? Andrew? Angelos? Banks? Bear? Brady? Bratton? Brown Gary? Brown Landon? Byron? Campbell Elisa? Campbell Kevin? Chestick? Clouston? Connolly? Davis? Eklund, excused. Erickson? Filer? Geringer? Guggenmoss? Haroldson? Harshman? Heiner? Heft? Jarvis. Johnson. Kelly. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Lean. Locke. Lucas. McCann. Nicholas. Ottman. Pendergraft. Posey. Provenza. Riggins, excused. Rodriguez Williams. Schmid. Sherwood. Singh. Smith. Storer. Strock. Stivar. Tarver. Thayer. Washut. Wasserberger. Webb. Weber. Worf. Williams. Winter. Wiley. Yin. Speaker Nyman. Are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 45 aye, 15 no, 2 excused.
House Bill 116, having been received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 116 has passed the House. Next bill for our consideration, House Bill 169. Reading clerk.
House Bill 169, sponsored by Representative Locke, Homeowners Tax Exemption 2025 and 2026, an act relating to taxation.
We have amendments. Representative Yin.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I move third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 169 and ask for your favorable consideration. Members, so this is slightly different than the amendment that I brought in second reading. You'll see that it references a Wyoming statute. That Wyoming statute is the definition for primary residence for the long-term homeowners exemption. So this way it stays in sync with the long-term homeowners exemption, no matter what that monthly requirement is. And again, this only takes place in the second year. I looked up what the requirements in other states are. There are various requirements for other states for residency requirements. A lot of them have them, even with the same number of months, so you have a 6-month requirement. And I really think that it's very important for us to make sure that we are, again, not writing checks to people who don't live here. So I did the math on how much each of those checks would be. It'd be around $3,500. So with that, I think it's very important for us to know how we vote on this. And so I am going to call for the ayes and noes on this vote.
Seconded by Sherwood. Thank you, Representative Yin. Representative Locke, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I do again appreciate the bringer of the bill. I would probably say resist the amendment, but I know there's a lot of different opinions on this, but again, thank you for the bringing of the bill, and again, I'd ask you resist. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Harshman, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a question for the sponsor of the amendment. How does it affect, I think I know the answer, but I just want to be clear. You know, in our community over the hill where our university is located, a lot of out-of-state investment firms are buying up homes because it's prime rental community, how that affects that. And then just any of these, I think I know the answer, but just so you could clarify for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Harshman. Any others for the first time? Representative Storr, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, on and for the amendment. Just a reminder, Teton County is the only county that is a recapture for the district, the school district. So when we reduce taxation on second homeowners, that just means we're sending less money back to the state to pay for schools across the rest of the state. I think that's not the purpose of this bill. We're trying to help people who actually live here. And that's what this amendment does. So on and for.
Thank you, Representative Storr. Any others for their first time? Seeing none, second time? Representative Harshman, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just, as I think about this a little more and some history behind this, last time I checked, there were like 4 counties in Wyoming didn't even have $1 million home. The county that the previous representative is from, I think the highest valued home was like 900 million. And I don't know if they live there full time or not. I think the other issue is there's a lot of this, I never thought about the school recapture. That county is like the Cole County used to be, funding a lot of education. Many of your school districts are funded by recapture payments from that county, enough to fund probably half the school districts in the state that have about 10% of the kids. So that's an interesting thought. I never thought about that. I think it's an important piece. And then there's other ways that the richest county in the world, which is in our state, it passed the one out there with the Statue of Liberty a couple years ago. Richest county in America impacts our budget. And the first one is called the FMAP. And it's the federal match on Medicaid. We're a 50-50 state, as low as you can go. All our neighbors. So there's all this stuff. It not only affects the education piece, but, and I don't know, yesterday I didn't vote for this, but I think it's the right thing to do. It's a smart thing to do. And because their ability to make that the richest county in the world impacts our budget for services in every community in this state. And this will not affect 97%, or no, I should say 70%, I think, are owner occupied. It's not going to affect any of us. It's going to affect a few people that come here a few weeks a year. I'm going to vote for this, so thanks for bringing it on and for. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any others for their second time? Representative Locke, second time? Nope. Representative Yin.
Thank you, members. So the question about properties purchased for rental, again, as long as the property is occupied by a renter or an owner, it can qualify for the exemption, and this doesn't prevent them from qualifying for the exemption. This is only for those houses that are empty, right? People are literally paying other people to take care of their homes because they're not there. They only use it for vacation. We don't need to give them a tax break. Even with the bill, even with this amendment, we're going to give them a tax break for that first year, but at least we can save some of that money and not pay them checks for the second year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Members, you are voting on a third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 169. Chief Clerk, call the roll.
Ellenman? Andrew? Angelos? Banks? Bear? Brady? Bratton? Brown Gary? Brown Landon? Byron? Campbell Lisa? Campbell Kevin? Repeat? Chestick? Plouston? Connolly? Davis? Eklund, excused. Erickson? Filer? Geringer? Guggenmoss? Haroldson? Haroldson?
Excused.
Harshman? Heiner? Heft? Jarvis? Johnson? Kelly? Knapp? Larson Lloyd? Larson JT? Lawley? Lean? Locke? I'm sorry, repeat? Lucas? McCann? Nicholas? Ottman? 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 Pendergraft? Posey? Provenza? Riggins, excused. Rodriguez Williams? Schmid? Sherwood? Singh? Smith? Storer? Strock? Stivar? Tarver? Thayer? Washut? Wasserberger? Webb? Weber? Worf? Williams? Winter? Wiley? Yin? Speaker Nyman. Are there any changes? Allemand, aye. To no? Haroldson, excused to no? Campbell Kevin, aye. To no? Heiner, aye. To no? Further changes? Further changes. Closing vote. Vote closed. 30 aye, 30 no, 2 excused.
By your vote, third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 169, you have not adopted. Motion of the amendment has failed. Okay. I believe that's all the amendments to 169. You got one more? Yep, one more. We have one more amendment to House Bill 169. Representative Provenza. This number 2. Oh, where's the other? Oh, here we go. You're both the same. No, that's 80. Have I seen the other one from? Hold for a moment. We've got an amendment that's come in here that we need to bring in. We'll get it sorted out. Got 2 of them. Okay. Amendment number 3 to third reading House Bill 169. Representative Harshman. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd move third reading amendment number 3 to House Bill 169. Members, in your tray, if you could just take a moment, reach in your tray. It was just delivered to you, so it'll be on top. It's a 2-sider. Really, it's what I want to focus on is this handout. If everybody could get this. On the back side's a spreadsheet. Okay, and I put some lines on this spreadsheet. I sent it to you via email yesterday, but I've put some borders around it so you can follow your people. So the total amount in your county, you can see the first is the total amount, and then it breaks it down. The school foundation, 12 mills, the 25 and 6 mills, and then the county, 12 mills. And there's 2 counties that don't administer 12 mills, be a little bit less, and the coal country and Teton country. But then you can see all others. And those are your cities or towns that you live in, and your special districts, hospitals, cemetery, weed and pest, fire districts, et cetera. The Bighorn Basin is like the poster child for special districts. They have more than the rest of the state, but most of our counties have special districts. My county has fire and weed and pest, et cetera. So that's where those reductions go to there. So this is a yearly reduction, okay? So actually, I think that, yeah, that is a one-year reduction. The bill tries to give back half of that for the next 2 years, basically $100 million a year. So as you look at those numbers, half of that will be restored to each of those. Does that make sense? I just want to make sure we're looking at that. So half of that will be restored. So like the first county there is Albany, and I think we can say county names now. 2.1 million to their communities, the small towns, and their special districts. Half of that will be restored. So they'll take $1 million cut. The county, 12 mills in that county will take just about $1 million cut too. They're almost 2 million. So, and then this thing goes away in 2 years and we have an election. And the election's on 50% for everybody. And just so you know, that election, and we just talked about the richest county in America, about 90% of the benefit from that amendment will go to that county. 90% of the benefit's going to go to one county in the state if that thing passes in a couple of years. And there's going to be a lot of education about that. 15% of the voters in each county signed on that, but is that really what we want? 90% of that to go to one county in the state, and the richest people in the richest county in the world, 50% off of the total value. That's why I think I like this bill, because it's got $1 million cap. It really is a big benefit for 97, 98% or more of Wyomingites. It's a huge deal. And you know, we passed the longtime Wyoming folks exemption, which people are filling out like crazy. You got to go fill it out. And so I've heard a lot back and forth on that deal. This is basically that same exemption that we've done for the longtime Wyomingites. I won't call them old timers, but they've been here a long time, paid a lot of property taxes. This is the same exemption, except you don't have to fill it out. I think we should keep this, not have a 2-year deal. And then it'll make that thing go away in 2 years that will benefit 90% of the money to the richest county on the earth. So to me, this just makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't we do it this way? Keep this thing rolling. Now, one of the most conservative states in the country, one of the best run states in the country, zero debt, but we have really volatile revenue. It's based on a lot of minerals and investment returns. You're gonna have to pay for it. It's what conservative people do, is pay their bills. So I'm bringing back this amendment again, because we had a day to sleep on it and think about it. To keep this program going on, this reform, this is a big deal. And it would go on forever, but we're not gonna crash land our local governments and our schools. Why would we want to? You're going to have to raise a tax somewhere else, folks. You can pay for savings out of the LSRA for a few years, but it won't happen for long. You're going to have to raise a tax to fund schools. There'll be more lawsuits, Constitution, and we got to follow the Constitution. That was day one in here. So, Mr. Speaker, this bill now, if you would flip back and see how it affects your locals, flip back over, and I just put the one page on there and I circled a couple things. It'll be the biggest tax cut in Wyoming history for our people. They're going to pay about $170 more in sales tax when they buy a pair of jeans or buy a new car every 5-10 years. But they're going to deposit $1,000 in their left pocket. And lower home payments for new homeowners. For old timers, it's going to cut their Christmas check in half. I just think this is the way to do this. I don't think, and this $1 million cap, I think is a part, I've been thinking about this over the reading of this bill, Mr. Speaker, and I think it's the way to go. I don't think we should do it for 2 years. Throw a little teaser out there, cut our services in our counties and our local governments, and then say, let's vote on this. Because if that vote goes through, there's no reimbursement for that. And when your house is on fire, you want those guys to show up. I don't know. I mean, I think of the gift that has been given to us in this state. A lot of these guys are dead on the walls up here, looking down on us, and we're going to soon join them. This life goes fast, but I don't want to crash land this state. You know, I read yesterday in a paper that one of the longest serving senators down there, they voted to take out any backfills. And I know I'm not referring to the body, but there's a vote to do that in our bicameral system. And he said, you know, if we're going to create a crisis, let's create a crisis. And there's been talk like that. Hey, if the new leadership wants to burn it down and cut all this local stuff, let's do it. I don't want to do that because there's people on the other end of these numbers. And we don't have to do it. You could simply move some of this property tax to a consumption tax, or the second biggest payers of it are out-of-state visitors. And I think most of you sitting on this floor prefer a consumption tax to a property tax. So I just want to really debate this question, how we pay our bills. Because given a 2-year little half freebie and cut services and then vote on this thing, I don't think it's the right way. And this deal, I like this bill with the $1 million cap. It's the right way to do it. And so anyway, Mr. Speaker, and I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm just like, this is really important. Might be the most important bill of the whole session. And we got to do this, I think, the right way. And I just think saying, oh, you figure it out. You grade less roads. You do whatever. And hey, we all complain when we go to the grocery store. I used to remember I'd say, hey, each sack is about $10. I'd tell my kids. And you know, when I was a kid, it was a couple bucks. My mom would tell me that. I got a sack the other day, it was like $40. Well, guess what? Buy a grader at the county. A couple of years ago, a couple $100,000. Check the price of them now. 3-4 times higher. So all this stuff is, and so, but I still, when I called 911 and my house is on fire, I want those young tough guys to show up. Man, I think what we do here really matters. So let's, I think I like the bill, but I want to be a conservative, fiscally conservative, and pay for it. And we can do it with a little tiny 0.75 sales tax. You won't even know it. And most of the stuff is exempt, Mr. Speaker. Our biggest deal is food, and we don't pay sales tax. You don't pay on your vet, your doctor, all those things. Your lawyer, your accountant. Mr. Speaker, stand for any questions. And members, I appreciate the good debate on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Harshman. Representative Lean for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to put it out there that this is the people's work that we are doing. The good representative from the county named one did bring the people's work to the floor. They spoke with their ballot initiative. They spoke with the signatures and the certification. This, as written, is currently the people's work. We are here to do their work, and I stand in opposition to this amendment as they did not ask us to come here and trade one tax for another. At this time, we are seeking 50% property tax relief for those individuals that live in our counties, all residential properties, on and opposed to the amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Wharf for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too would urge a no vote on this amendment. I want to make it clear, this amendment to me, in my opinion, it changes the whole intent, what the Revenue Committee is trying to do. It's trying to obligate us to do something that actually hamstrings what we are trying to do. And the one thing I can tell you, without this amendment, it's a fallacy to say that if your house is on fire, the fire department's not going to show up. I can guarantee you that is not what this bill does without this amendment. It still keeps the counties as whole as we can while we buy time for us to revisit this. And I do think it's a mistake to say that we need to change this, make it permanent. I think we need to look at the entire structure of state taxes, how it's done. And I think this short stops what I would like to do on the Revenue Committee. So I would urge a no vote on this amendment. Aye for the bill.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Campbell, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and for the amendment, I'm going to, I think, push back a little bit on a couple of the previous presenters. I absolutely support doing the people's work. And I think the challenge with that is the number of our constituents that don't understand how property taxes relate to our cities, our counties, our school districts. They don't understand that connection. So while we are obligated, yes, to follow through on that promise of decrease in property taxes, we are also obligated, if we make that decision, to backfill that for our cities and our counties. How do we strip away one of their few sources of revenue without a solution, without a fix? For most of us, I think what I really appreciate about this amendment is it guarantees that backfill, right? We will make sure we're not going to leave our counties and our cities high and dry to figure it out. One of the things I want to make sure we all understand is property taxes in every single one of our municipalities that we represent. Every municipality, every county, the revenue generated from our property taxes is the most stable revenue. They can count on that. The sales tax revenue is so volatile. They have no idea really from one year to the next what that's going to look like. Property taxes are the revenue they count on. Just in that little county, city municipality that I represent, 16% of our general fund, those are our city operating funds, 16% comes from property taxes. So what happens when we cut half of that and say, good luck, figure that out? My municipality, my county alone, we're looking at an $8 million hit. Yeah, that's going to affect our essential services. Most of our municipalities right now are struggling with infrastructure costs and keeping up. We're already in trouble, and now we're going to add this to it. So unless we can provide a guarantee that we are not going to hurt our cities and counties, we can't vote on this bill. This amendment, though, allows us to do that. So what I would strongly request from this legislative body, if we move through to eliminate these revenues from our cities and our counties without a guarantee that they will be left whole, then I want a list from this legislative body of priorities in terms of those essential services we can cut. What does that look like? Do we cut water first? Do we cut streets first? Do we cut police? Do we cut fire? What do we cut? What does that priority list look like? Because cuts are going to come. So if you're going to cut this funding, give us a list that we can give to our cities and our counties. Say, here are the priorities. Do what you got to do. On and for the amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Others? Representative Singh, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There are concerns that I have for my municipal government, specifically about the ability to issue another penny tax in the future. If a municipal government wanted to explore that option to fund whatever project, would this amendment affect their ability to communicate that idea with their constituents if we, as a state, are adding an additional fee on our sales tax? Would it then make it harder for municipal governments and other types of governments to impose or put the question before citizens for another penny tax?
Thank you, Representative. Representative Larson, Lloyd, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate the work that the presenter of this amendment's put into this, and we know that this concept's been out there and it continues to be refined, and I think that this is a good place to get it put into place. I think we are about doing the people's work, and there's a couple of approaches to property tax out there. There is an initiative out there that required 15% of the voters, not the total population, 15% of the voters voted in the last election to get that on the ballot. That means to me, at least, land or math here, 85% didn't. And so to say that that's a foreign drawn conclusion, I think is, has some flaws. And so I think it's our job to continue working to try to identify ways to ease the burden and how to take care of our education and communities long-term foregoing. I went to the little reception last night where those guys that govern our counties were there. There's a lot of angst about this, even this short term not getting backfilled and how they're going to do that. Some counties, we talked about this yesterday, end up, because right, we're replacing it with half over 2 years. So we end up at a quarter. And some counties are really going to take a hit. This does away with all of that. This sustains it. So I'd encourage you to vote for the amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Jarvis, for first time.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm on and against this amendment because as a conservative Republican, I do believe that we need to look seriously at property.
What's your, Representative Wasserberger, please, wait to be acknowledged. Representative Wasserberger.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've heard the term several times yesterday, conservative Republican. Guys, we have people that are representing from other parties and other affiliations. Please be respectful of the terms you're using. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Jarvis. Please proceed.
I am for, and I've heard my community loud and clear that they do feel that property taxes are too high. And I do believe that we were elected to address that issue. I'm not for this amendment, but I am not for this bill. And why I'm not for this amendment, or I'm against the bill, is 50% property tax cut. When you look at the organizations and the institutions and the cities and the counties that benefit from property tax directly, when you cut 50% and you backfill 25%, I've never professed to be mathematically on the money, but I appreciate my good representative from the same place, representative. that
Representative,
produced-
what is your point?
We're debating the amendment, not the bill.
Mhm.
Please stick to the amendment.
It's the amendment, I was just talking about the money. Okay. But
Address, representatives, now just for a minute, let's just pull a woe here. Always address anything that you have to say to the chair first. I do not want to be any discussion back and forth between representatives. The point of order was directed to the chair. We acted on that point of order. Representative, I would remind you to please stick to the bill. You did reference specifically about your discussion and your decision on the bill. Please stick to the amendment. All addressing to the chair, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep this under control and let's keep decorum. Representative, please proceed.
thank you, Speaker. I'm not for replacing or removing one tax and replacing it for another. I think that we can do reduction. What I'm not for on this is that most of these institutions run off of an 80% personnel budget. I'm not for people losing their jobs.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Locke, for yours first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I just want to ask, I'm on and against this amendment. This amendment has some great concepts, but quite frankly, again, this is swapping one tax for another, and it is a heavy enough, significant enough change that there's no way we understand the unintended consequences. And at the end of the day, again, on and against the amendment, and I ask you to vote no on the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other representatives for the first time? Representative Tarver for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thanks for the bringing this forth one more time. I certainly appreciate it. And but I am going to tell you something that all my constituents, they call, they text, they email, and not one of them yet has said, "Will you raise my taxes?" Matter of fact, just the opposite. Now, one thing they have said is, "Can you lower my taxes and spend less?" So that's what I'm down here. Those are my principles. This amendment goes directly against that.
Thank you, Representative. Others, first time. Any others? Seeing none, second time. No one for a second bite? To the bringer, Representative Harshman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To bring this home, I'll just start kind of with the back. I think I appreciate the principles of, not raising taxes. I think if you look on number 2 on that handout I passed out to you, I circled 2 items. So it would cut the average Wyomingites property tax $1,000, raise their sales tax $170. My public school math, that's a gain of $830 for the average Wyoming family. That is not a tax. Okay, that is not a tax. You got $830 more bucks in your pocket. That is not a tax. That is what it's called, a tax cut. And we'll get into this lowering spending. This bill lowers spending. But the problem is, nobody on this floor is responsible, because you're not going to have to make those votes in the county commission meetings or the city council meetings. You're going to be a step removed. Oh, I lowered your taxes. I can't. That's the county commission cutting your services. Yeah. And some previous speaker already addressed this 15% of the voters. That isn't all the people's voice. We had that same issue on a ballot initiative, constitutional amendment as well, this last go around that we put on. And I think, so the people will speak, but here's what's going to happen in 2 years. I think there's an amendment coming after this to backfill the whole thing. Great, I'm going to vote for it. And then that'll take our LSRA down to about $1 billion. And then you got $500 million left after that to backfill schools. Okay, so we got a couple of years to backfill schools. And then you're going to be here, many of you will be here. What taxes are you going to raise? Because you're going to have to. It's a little thing called the Constitution, and you're going to lose that lawsuit. So all the things you want to do, from public charter schools to all those things, because 2 things are going to happen in 2 years. This bill is going away. I thought we came here for reform. That was the criticism on me. I chaired that committee for 4 years. Oh, all we did is these Band-Aids. Okay, there's some reform. So this is going to go away, this Band-Aid, in 2 years. Then what if the people vote it down? Here we are again. We got only thing we got going is the long-term homeowners, and then the homeowners reimbursement, which is a good program. It's going to cost us $30 million in this budget. That's if it's voted down. What if it's voted for? You're going to give 90% of the benefit to the richest county in the world, going to cut our property tax in half, and there is no backfill. Then what are you going to do? What's the 69th legislature going to do? What we do has consequences. So you can go home and tell your people, hey, I gave you a half property tax cut, and I raised your sales tax by 10% to pay for it. 12%. Most of the second biggest payer of sales tax are out-of-staters. Folks, the largest tax cut in Wyoming history. You aren't raising taxes, you're cutting taxes. 1,000 minus 170 is 830. Largest tax cut in Wyoming history. Nobody that's set before us has given a tax cut like this. Permanent. please vote aye for the amendment, vote for a tax cut, vote for our local governments. If not, I think tonight, when you're having dinner with your local electeds, maybe you can talk about those reductions. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the debate. This is serious stuff. This is the people's work. And I don't want to create a crisis. I just hate for that to happen to this precious state. And we have to go through all this turmoil. And in the meantime, nursing homes close, services are shut down. Why? Conservative people pay their bills. They don't go bankrupt, leave people hanging. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Body, you are voting on third reading amendment number 3 to House Bill 169. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The amendment has not been adopted. Next amendment for our consideration is division being called. All those in favor, please stand. You may be seated. All those opposed, more than 12. Next amendment for our consideration, amendment number 4. Let me see. Yes, amendment number 4 to House Bill 169, Representative Wiley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to move Amendment 4 to the third reading, House Bill 169. Here we are again, folks. We're talking about this. You've seen some good information. I hope everybody's looking at your spreadsheet. I ran into the folks last night from the land the land I hail from, and everybody's concerned. And you know, we're here talking about this earlier, and we've been talking about it several times through these different amendments with some great debate. And it goes back to this question of equity. Well, a little bit ago, we just gave a huge break to folks that don't spend the majority of their time here. They're using the state to recreate, and we're saying, okay, it's equitable to allow you to have this 50%, cut. Do they care? Probably not. Probably so. Who knows? But I could tell you this: the folks I talk to from home are the folks I've seen my entire life. I grew up here in this great state. The blood is, the blood and the dirt and everything is in my bones. So I really think we need to take a minute, because we're going to affect quality of life when we go back home. It's going to touch everybody at home. Our grandmothers, our grandfathers, our children, our neighbors, our friends, our constituents, the 10,000 people we're here to represent. It's going to affect all of them. So, getting down to the math again, I have added plus or minus, more plus, because very conservative estimate, a 50% increase to the median home value in Wyoming. And I will have everybody remember that this covers you up to $600,000. So we are giving everybody a $600,000 break. There's our cap. That's where we're moving it to. Everybody can qualify. Everybody can get the benefit. I'm not here to leave Wyomingites behind. I'm here to help them. But at the same time, we have to keep it on the forefront of our thoughts that they do not want to lose quality of life. This is essential services. This is care. This is, we heard about EMS taking somebody from their home to the hospital. That all depends on these valuations. And if we're not careful, our good friends across the hall are running several issues too, all about equity, all about the amendment, but we're throwing so much at the wall of too much sticks where we are going to be in a crisis. And then we're going to have to go home and tell everybody, well, I hope I didn't affect your quality of life, because I was there to defend it. I was there to try to help get you some relief that you need. We've been doing that for several years now. We've passed several measures for relief. And I hear the argument about reform. So please consider this. This will help folks, and this will help have a safety net as well. Please consider voting aye on this amendment.
Thank you, Representative Wiley. Representative Byron, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and against, folks, our good committee that has been working on this for a number of years, and the current one has stuck with this number, should continue to stick with this number. You know, this adversely hurts the teachers, the policemen, the firemen, the folks in my district that have been affected by these property value increases. On and against.
Thank you, Representative. Any others for their first time? Any representatives for their first time? Representative Locke, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And again, I just ask that you resist this amendment. I believe that that $1 million cap is a good cap. We've done our best to try to cover the broadest group of people affected and stay as focused as we could. But again, I ask you to resist the amendment.
Thank you, Representative Locke. Any others for their first time? Seeing none, second time. None? Representative Wiley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll try to bring this home quickly. Again, the numbers that we see right now, the cap that we see right now, the $1 million, there's no legs. There's no study or any kind of math behind it. It's a number that we've pulled out of the air. And it's a number that's applying pressure to the valuations that we have currently. Again, these folks at home are depending on us to make good decisions, quality decisions, not for what we're seeing in the newspapers today or next week or next month, but for 30 years from now. Equity. You know, I was raised, again, in a community in Wyoming, and the older folks always told me, you know, Cody, you have to pull the wagon. You can't just ride on the wagon and drag your feet. And I don't know anybody in the state that would like otherwise. We've been raised to pull up our bootstraps and go to work, and the world is your oyster. The opportunity is there. You just have to take it. So again, I want to help folks with this, but at the same time, I want to make a good decision for our future. Again, there is so much with property tax relief right now, again, being thrown into the air, that I think it is irresponsible to overcarry. We need to make intelligent and thoughtful decisions for our future. This will help everybody. You get an exemption up to $600,000, 50% above the state median valuation of a home. This helps everybody. Please consider voting aye on this amendment.
Thank you, Representative Wiley. Members, you are voting on third reading amendment number 4 to House Bill 169. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The amendment has not been adopted. Moving on to amendment number 5 to House Bill 169. Representative Larson, JT, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I'll move third reading amendment number 5 to House Bill 169 and ask for your favorable consideration. Members, this is about the last thing I wanted to do, but I want to make sure that our counties are whole. I want to make sure that we can have services in our communities. Without this amendment, this will be detrimental to our counties and our cities and our towns. Members, what this amendment does is fully backfills all of the loss in revenue to our counties with the LSRA. So I encourage you to vote aye on this amendment, and I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Representative Larson. Any members want to speak first time to this amendment? Representative Yin, first time.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. So we talked about a couple of different amendments, and really the question is, how do we not make our local governments become the enemy while we get to be the hero, right? And so this is the way to do it. I mean, this is the way I agree with, frankly, way more than the other one. because it puts the onus on us to pay the bills. It's going to be our fault that those budgets get restricted. It should be our fault when we frankly drain our LSRA, but we shouldn't put the burden of the choices that we're making on our local government. So I'm for the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Excuse me, Representative Lean for your first time.
On and opposed to the amendment. I just want to ask where all the money is gone from these hyperinflation values. I know, having seen the amount that counties currently have, what their investments look like, I want to know, where did all that money go? The cost of doing business is getting to be more and more across the board, on and against the amendment, because our counties will take a hit just the way that the state's going to take a hit. This is the tax dollars from the taxpayers. It is a chance to give it back to them.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Washut for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So let's be clear. If we're going to do this backfill at 100%, we're not taking homeowners' money and returning it to homeowners. We're taking money largely paid by our extractive industries and transferring that wealth to our homeowners. That's what this is doing, right? It's a reallocation of wealth from the minerals sector to the homeowner sector. And if we go at 100%, the impact on our LISRA is significant. And I've been around long enough to see the peaks and valleys and how suddenly valleys come upon this body. And so if you drain the full 100% out of the LISRA and simultaneously a bad economic event takes place, we are further limiting our ability to be responsive to that downturn. So this whole bill is about transferring wealth not back to the homeowner, but largely from the mineral sector to those homeowners.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Locke for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I think it's important to note what we're attempting to do with this bill is actually leave some money in some people's pockets over the next couple of years to adjust for a bubble that's hit before us. And we're looking to come up with some approach to distributing the issue and coming up with trying to strike a balance. On and against this amendment, this is an excessive spend. And we're just trying to get back to a balance, to a bubble that's affected our state and certainly has affected our kitchen tables. Everybody in here, at least most of you came here for this purpose. And the kitchen table is what's being affected here largely, and that's the area on a broader group of people that we have not addressed yet. Again, on and against this amendment.
Thank you, Representative Locke. Representative Davis for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think I'm in favor of this amendment because my county cannot take a 50% hit. And we're one of the counties that do have those other things called minerals and stuff like that in it. But we're just trying to get caught back up on maintenance. I mean, infrastructure is a tremendous expense, not only to the counties, but the municipalities. We have aging water facilities in these communities and stuff like that. We're asked to increase our water rates. We're asked to do this. We're asked to do that. It's all against the taxpayer. And if we can't make the counties and municipalities whole doing this, I don't believe I can vote for this 50% property tax.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Campbell, your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Concerns I have with tapping that LISRA account for 100%. I'm all in favor of leaving our cities and counties whole, but as we have learned, the investment, interest, whatever the words are, 'cause I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it, that we earn off of those accounts provides for, I think we heard the number 30% of our budget, right? So because we have this large reserve, we can pull from that to help cover our operating expenses. Similarly, our cities and counties do the same thing. So they have these reserves that they can use and pull from to help bridge those gaps. And so my concern with a lot of this, yes, our residents will see more money in their pocket from this decreased property tax. And then we're going to take that money right back out because our water rates are going to go up, our wastewater rates, our picket, landfill, bellfill, all of our municipality rates are going to go up to help cover those costs because we don't have that ability anymore to keep those rates low for our constituents. So yeah, we can give them some more money and then we're going to take it right back out when our rates go up. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Wiley, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm gonna touch base on a couple of things here. Excessive spending. Okay, I'm not understanding that. If we're gonna do these breaks, we're gonna have to find the money to cover from somewhere. Yeah, there's no money tree, no money bush that we just pull it off. So you better be darn tootin' ready to cover our bills. If it's gonna come from one thing or another, general or LSRA, we better be prepared to do that. So we gotta put our money where our mouth is when the time comes. And another thing, Lizra, it's not open to the investment returns. So this would be the appropriate place to take it because it's the account's liquid. We have to have it for that. Again, if we're gonna do this, great, but we better be ready to backfill the funds. We heard yesterday, several counties come up and they said, you know, this is gonna put us in a hardship. If we do this, we're gonna come to you every year that this is in place. Or if the people's initiative passes and we really will decide what the people want when it hits the ballot and they get a vote, we're going to figure out how to cover this. It's our duty. It's our charge. We will have to figure out how to cover this. So if we're not willing to backfill now, what are we doing? Again, if we're gonna do this, we have to be willing to put our money where our mouth is.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Lawley, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and for this amendment, we are a representative government, and I represent counties that are hardship counties. We must have the backfill. I've made that point before, but I will support this amendment as well because I think this micromanaging of and trying to tell counties what they can do and what they can't by just limiting their money, us limiting their money, is really a really interesting thought as I think about how we feel about the federal government and how they do that to us sometimes. And I think we need to be true to our principles concerning the autonomy that our counties have and our cities in local control. And I just think that there's not been enough evidence that we have the right nor the reason to cut this just 50% across the board. It's arbitrary. I would say it's even capricious, but it's also a situation where there might be some counties that can withstand that. I'm not going to name them. They can speak for themselves. But the people I represent cannot. They cannot sustain that. And many people in my district I've talked to that signed the petition didn't understand that there would be no backfill. Some of those positions are changing as they understand more about this issue and the effect. So we'll see. That's why the ballot initiative, we will know in 2026, right? We'll know. There'll be an election and all of the people will speak. But there are some that don't understand this issue, and I'm hoping it more comes to the forefront. Because we need to be fair and honest with our people. They need to understand the impact of the decisions we're making. So again, I'm happy they're on the ballot. I have no qualms about that. And I think to have that election is going to be important. And we'll have a lot more discussions about the consequences. And it just doesn't affect every county equally. That's why this approach of across the board is so flawed in my view. It's flawed because different counties can sustain that, other counties can't. And where I live can't, so I'm on and for this amendment to correct that. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Nicholas, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So ladies and gentlemen, we can't do anything without affecting something else. And so I think we have to look at everything that this legislature is going to do this session as we make these financial decisions and where money goes and where we spend it and how we save it. So right now, if we pass the bills that are currently before our respective bodies, that's about $499 million out of the general fund that we're going to spend. That's what we're spending on the bills that are out there. If we backfill the remainder of this, that's going to turn into $600 million general fund dollars into the negative. And on the school side right now, we're almost at $900 million on the negative side. So we have to look at every bill that's going to come in front of us and keep a running chart of how much money we're spending and how much money we're not saving and how much money we're cutting.
Thank you, Representative Nicholas. Representative Jarvis, for your first time.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm on and for this amendment because the backfill allows people to keep their jobs.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Connolly, I don't want to drag you to the podium if you're not there, but go ahead.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around this thing, so I don't want to pay any more property taxes than anybody else. But in visiting with my communities in my district, if we keep doing these 50% here and 50% there, and there's a lot of other bills coming up with property tax, and we haven't even looked at the constitutional amendment possibility to do something for everybody across the board that might be a little more, well, might not cost quite as much. But if we do this, then what my concern is, overall, I've got these little communities and one of them might have to unincorporate. I don't know how far you go and how much you look out after everybody until you do damage to somebody else. Where's the line there? So I'm really struggling with this, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Representative. Any other representatives? Representative Chestic, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and in favor of the amendment. A year or so ago, the University of Wyoming, or the university across the hill, did some unit at that great institution, did a scientifically valid poll of Wyoming voters. And the poll was designed to measure the relative level of satisfaction that voters across the state, it's every county, and it was a representative sample of voters across the state. Are you okay with the level of taxation and the level of service? Or would you prefer to have lower taxes and lower services? Or are you okay with having higher taxes and more services? We're trying to find are we at the right balance, or do we need to adjust the delivery of services versus the rate of taxation? Very interesting study, and the study came out very conclusive that our voters, our Wyoming citizens, our constituents, are okay with where we're at. The level of service they're getting is satisfactory. They're willing to pay the taxes to support that. And therefore, I think the backfill is necessary. The bill, I will be against the bill because it does cut income to the local governments, and that will require a cut of services. And I don't believe that's what our voters want. Having this amendment to fully backfill the cut, I think, is what our voters want, and I will support this amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Davis, first time. Or no, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just one last passing thought on this. I am in favor of this amendment, but we pass these laws here in this chamber, but it's up to those county fathers. The county commissioners have to implement what we do here. And I don't see how they can, their hands are tied if we do this, unless we can give it a backfill.
Any other members? We're into second time now, and I didn't see anybody else unless Representative Larson was planning on saying something on his first go-round. Or actually, yeah, you were there first anyway, Representative Larson. Second time. We're into second time now. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, this would be my first time on this amendment, and if I'm running afoul, I'll sit
Wrong,
down.
Larson. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you. So, folks, it's no secret that I've opposed this bill. The structure of property tax and the structure of revenue coming in to run the general operations of state government are two different funding streams. And when we start mixing them up, as the good chairman of judicial pointed out, I think we run afoul of the intent of our tax structure, and it complicates things greatly down the road. Were we sent here to do some things? Absolutely. We put a 4% cap on there. That reduced property tax collection by about $300 million, or valuation of about $300 million. We've seen a number of these things coming into place that reduced the impacts on the people. But if, as been pointed out, if we're gonna do this bill, I think this amendment really is an important part of it. I don't see how you can. It's kind of like waving the magic wand, but there's no magic. We're gonna wave this magic wand and make everybody feel better because we're giving them this property tax deduction, but the impact we're going to have downstream on our locals and on school and on our overall funding is really significant. So if we're going to do this, let's just fund this, put it all in, and as the good former chairman pointed out, as you start looking at the two chairmen of appropriations, so you start looking at the impacts. We're moving sales tax from vehicle sales over to highways. That's going to reduce things. We're backfilling. We're funding more education as a backfill from the LSRA. Boy, okay, but it's limited because we're on how long we can do this. But okay, and this just. We're mixing this up. I avoid saying this, but it's almost this socialist structure that government has to provide everything, and that we as individuals don't have to do anything for the services and what we get and what we receive. But we do, and we should. And we try to, we come and have these debates, but I think we're stepping outside the bounds of what our predecessors, the great people that have run this state over the years, have ever intended on taking from the general fund over here to pay, from industry to pay everybody's individual property tax. So I think we've got some things in place. I think that you have a great opportunity to just say no to this. If vote aye on this amendment, say no to the bill, and let's see how this stuff shakes out for a couple of years before we turn this thing upside down like we potentially may do. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Wiley.
Thank you,
Second
Mr.
time.
Speaker. I'll be quick. One thing. If we do lose these essential services and these qualities of life at home, we're giving these tax breaks. That's great. But how many people at home are going to have a tax break and no job? This is our water, our fire, our sewer, our hospitals, our teachers, all city and county operations. How many of those folks are going to enjoy their break and then not have anything to go do to provide for their families? Just think about that.
Thank you, Representative. Any others for their second time? Second time, back to the bringer, Representative Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I guess I'll just address one point. There was a point made that this is an outrageous spend, or this is too big of a spend. Well, passing the bill without this amendment is a huge spend on our counties. We have to pass this amendment to make our counties whole. And with that, according to Rule 12-4, I'll ask for the ayes and noes. Thank you.
Will require a second. Seconded by Chestick. Okay, that is it. Members, you are voting on third reading amendment number 5 to House Bill 169. Chief Clerk, call the roll.
Ellerman? Andrew? Angelos? Banks? Bear? Brady? Bratton? Brown Gary? Brown Landon? Byron? Campbell Elisa? Campbell Kevin? Chestick? Clauston? Connolly? Davis? Eklund excused. Erickson? Filer? Geringer? Guggenmoss? Haroldson? Harshman? Heiner? Heft? Jarvis? Johnson? Kelly? Knapp? Larson Lloyd? Larson JT? Lawley? Lean? Locke? Lucas? McCann? Nicholas? Ottman? Pendergraft? Posey? Provenza? Riggins excused. Rodriguez Williams? Schmid? Sherwood? Singh? Smith? Storer? Strock? Stivar? Tarver? Thayer? Washut? Wasserberger? Webb? Weber? Worf? Williams? Winter? Wiley? Yin? Mr. Speaker, are there any changes? Geringer? Are there any changes? Schmid? Closing vote. Vote closed. 25 aye, 35 no, 2 excused.
By your vote, you have rejected the third reading amendment number 5 to House Bill 169. What time? Representative Harshman.
Mr. Speaker, privilege of the floor, please.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, chance to stretch our legs. I'd like in the South Gallery, I'd like the Maddens to stand up. Cheryl and Mike, if you could stand up now. Cheryl is a former representative to the state just east of us, the state with great faces that we'd like to also build in Wyoming. I think there's a bill out there for that. She was a representative in that state. And then next to her, her lesser half, she's the better half, her lesser half, dear friend Mike Madden, who served 12 years representing House District 40, served honorably, served on many committees, and chaired the Revenue Committee, which modernized our sales tax and the agreement state status and the online sales tax and all those things for Wyoming's future. Chaired our cap fin, all those things, did so much for this state. So it's such a pleasure and honor to welcome you back and thank you for your service. Welcome back.
Thank you, Maddens, for coming back and joining us in the House again. We appreciate you being here.
And
Thank you for all
Mr.
your efforts and your service to this state.
Mr. Speaker, and if I could add, over the lunch hour, you want to ask some questions about taxation. You want to ask them about this bill. He's a good one to talk to. He's forgot more than most of us know. So thank you again, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Singh,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Privilege of the floor.
please proceed.
Thank you, folks. If you direct your attention to the West Gallery, we have with us today Rebecca Wilderness, who is a carrier deliverer for our city here with the United States Postal Service. And I just wanted to give a shout out to her for all the hard work that she does and all these folks do in a state where snow drifts can get higher than our fences. The work that they do helps us conduct business and make sure that our personal effects get to us on time. So please welcome her to the House.
Welcome to the House. Turn on the microphone. Turn, fifth. Oh, we got another one. Oh, I'm sorry. Representative Wiley, please forgive me.
Not hard to miss, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Please proceed.
I just wanted to remind everybody there's going to be a presentation for the findings from the Electrical Generation Subcommittee today at noon downstairs. I think it's very important that we all go take a listen, and it could be very impactful to what we're trying to accomplish. And there's also an energy lunch with energy food. Thank you.
Representative Storr,
Mr. Chairman, privilege of the floor.
please.
I'd just like to draw your attention to the North Gallery, where Melissa Schinkel, Teton County Assessor, is with us today, and she's also serving as the president, I believe, of the Wyoming County Assessors Association. We have asked these people to do an awful lot over the last few years, and I'd appreciate it if you'd all rise and give your support.
Thank you for your service. Appreciate you being here. Okay, that'll be later. Okay, our last amendment. House Bill 169. Representative Provenza, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hope we got our jitters out. I move third reading amendment number 2 for your favorable consideration, and I will withdraw it at the appropriate time. I want to have an honest discussion about what we're doing with this bill. Because I think that, I know that when I had constituents come to me about the proposition that they were given when they went into the store, when they were in my community, was that there weren't going to be any consequences for this. And quite frankly, that was dishonest. So I want to have an honest discussion. Let's walk through what backfill means. If my savings account drains and I don't make enough money to pay my bills, then my bills don't get paid. We have an obligation per our Constitution to balance our budget. So that means we will cut services. We'll cut funding to hospitals. And I would ask you, are your constituents free if they don't have a hospital to go to? We'll cut money to county and city roads. And I'll ask you, are your communities free if they can't drive to work? And the hardworking people of are the hardworking people of Wyoming free if they don't have jobs because our second largest employer is gone? I'll remind you that we are constitutionally obligated to fund education for our future generations, one of our largest employers. So let's be honest, at least, about what we're doing with this bill. We're cutting funds today so that we have the okay to cut programs tomorrow. Some of you might be excited to do that, but not me. And not those of us who care about our neighbors. People in Wyoming, we work hard to take care of our communities and help mend our neighbors' fences. It's why most local taxes on local ballots pass, because we want to fund our communities. 10 years from now, the people that fill these seats will look up at the ceiling and they'll be forced to bring new revenues, because today we are voting for a bill that is so fiscally irresponsible that it puts our communities at risk. Our children will pay the price for it. They'll pay the price for the services that are going to go away when we no longer have a backfill and we've spent our savings account, we can't balance our budget. They're going to pay for our hospitals and our health clinics. They're going to pay for our law enforcement, our 911 services. They're going to pay for the emergency services to show up to your house when you have a heart attack. They're going to pay for the roads and the water. They're going to pay for waste disposal, cemeteries, airports, weed and pest predator management, and senior citizen districts. And I think they'll be happy to foot the bill after they have suffered the pain of not having them.
Representative. Oh, Representative Williams, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and for this amendment, House Bill 169 is written without adequate backfill, cut funding to school districts in House District 2. It will cut funding to our hospitals, to our soil conservation district, fire district, weed and pest district, senior citizens center, solid waste district, museum, cemetery, water and sewer. These are people whose names I know. These are services my district depends on. We heard from my friend and colleague, this bill keeps counties as whole as we can. That isn't good enough for me. Small towns are a big deal. Rural, mineral deficient counties deserve to be whole. House District 2 is not interested in being more dependent on state government. On and for the amendment, against the bill.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Johnson, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to remind everybody what happened Monday when I offered rules change that we would backfill any additional spending, and that was rejected pretty soundly. And now that's what you want? I'm confused. Thank you.
Representative Storr, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I was just reminding myself all the reasons why I think this bill is problematic. It doesn't help the people who have been impacted the most. It doesn't treat all residences equitably. It gives tax breaks to the wealthy second homeowners who don't even live here. It reduces funding for schools. Remember, about 70% of our property taxes goes to our schools, and it reduces services and breaks local budgets. And to what end, really? And this is the piece that I really want to talk about, which is that we are giving a tax break. We're giving a tax break to people who need it, and we are giving a tax break to people who don't need it. And I would argue that for those who need it, we have already done a lot. 99, if not 100% of them would qualify for the property tax refund program if they would just bother to apply. 125% of median county income covers an awful lot of people. We even at one point estimated half the state could probably apply and receive a refund from the property tax refund program. Instead, we're just giving something to people who don't need it. Those same people who have actually, frankly, benefited. They've benefited from an increase in the value of their most important asset, their home. And at the end of the day, their balance sheet actually looks better than it did 5 years ago. We used to think that was a good thing when our property values went up. So if you can afford your property tax, as many of us can, this bill is unnecessary. It's not needed, but its costs are great. For many of us, our communities are not thriving. Our towns are losing population. They're getting older. We're making it really hard for young families to live here. And we should all wonder why that is. On and for the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Storr. Representative Lean, for your first time.
On and opposed to the amendment, what I would like to know is who from the 67th legislature or before went to the kitchen tables of the constituents in my district and asked them, how much can you afford in property taxes prior to the CAMA system evaluating their, giving a proper, prior to the CAMA system giving an inflated value to their property. I also want to know if this isn't fair for everyone, when this blankets all residential property, what is fair? I am no for the amendment and yes for the bill.
Thank you, Representative. Any others for their first time? Representative Locke, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I just want everybody to remember what this bill is here to do. I understand that we're asking a large group of the government to say, hey, we need to take a good hard look at that, and we're asking everybody to look at their budgets and their spending and taking a good hard look at that. There's no question. But at the end of the day, the deal here is that we're trying to basically help a broader range of Wyoming families, kitchen tables, leave money there, okay, and try to help those families, because I will tell you, it's been proven over and over again, and I really don't need to tell everybody in this room that. Sometimes when you cut taxes, I even heard it said this morning by a smart gentleman, sometimes when you cut taxes, that puts more money back into the environment, and that's better for everyone. And I think that's probably a point I have not made. But here at the end of the day, you leave some of this money on these people's kitchen table in the next 2 years, and I think you're going to find a healthier Wyoming. So I'm against the amendment for the bill, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Yin, for your first time.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. So I heard all of the problems that this bill is causing. And, you know, what it reminded me of is that the 67th and the 66th did pass relief for taxpayers that addressed all of those problems. We have a property tax refund program that makes sure that it's only for people who live in the state. We make sure that we're not giving it to people who can already afford the property taxes. We made sure that it actually paid for up to 50% of their taxes. We did all of those things. So what does this bill do? It makes it so we hurt our local governments instead of the property tax refund program, which made sure that our governments were whole. It creates a system where we write checks to people who don't live here. It goes to out of state. So my question is, why are we passing this bill if it doesn't solve a problem that we did already solve? We solved it. We had the property tax refund program. It addresses the people that were at risk of losing their homes because of property tax rises. I'm going to continue to support that program. It's a great program. I was the one that brought a bill that made it so counties could optionally provide that program themselves if for some reason the state stopped funding it, right? But why are we doing this? Why are we defunding our local governments? Why are we giving checks to people who don't live in Wyoming when we've already fixed the problem with tax relief, and we will continue to provide for that program where we make sure that people in Wyoming don't get kicked out of their homes? I don't think anyone in this chamber wants anyone to get kicked out of their homes. We want people to have relief. This bill defunds local governments.
Representative Larson, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and for the amendment. A speaker a few moments ago said, we're asking counties to make cuts to their budgets. An ask gives them a yes or no choice. This is forcing the counties to make cuts to their budgets. It's forcing them to go in conflict with their constituents who are asking them to fund services for a multitude of things. I do not stand for forcing our commissioners to go in conflict with what their constituents are asking. Vote aye on the amendment, against the bill.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Lawley, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I won't repeat that my positions concerning counties that are hardship counties. It's clear we have been promised a solution later, but I don't risk that. I can't risk that there will be an acceptable solution for backfill counties, the counties that need to be backfilled that are hardship counties. I'm not going to take this burger today for something tomorrow. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to, it doesn't represent the people and that have the concerns in my county. I did hear about property taxes at the door. I also heard from many people, thank you for what you've done. I got some refunds this year. I appreciate the cap that was put on my property taxes. We are making progress. I'm not saying we're there. I'm not suggesting that at all. But this is an extreme solution that is really so detrimental to counties like mine that I can't support it. I cannot support it. And I do believe we are giving some relief to people who really didn't even ask for it, the way it's currently constructed. But I want to notice this in the arguments today that are kind of stunning when I started jotting them down. This has now been represented to us as a tax incentive program for economic development. This has been presented to us as a transfer of wealth program, taking from the mineral industries and give it to individuals, the money that came from the mineral industry, that we're transferring wealth. We've been told that the counties need to be told what to do. That's what is needed, is we just need to tell them they need to cut their expenses without even knowing the details of any particular county and the expenses they have. This is against so many of the conservative principles that we stand for. It's just flat against it. And for all those reasons, I do not support this bill.
Thank you, Representative. Any others for their first time? Okay, moving to second time. Anybody want a second shot at this? Second time? Okay, last time. Representative Provenza, bring it home.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You want to talk about sitting at kitchen tables? I don't want to sit at kitchen tables with thousands of unemployed community members. I don't want to sit at kitchen tables with grieving families because we took away their emergency room and their mother died driving to the next county or state for medical care. I really don't want to do that. Vote no on the bill. And at this time, Mr. Speaker, I withdraw my third reading amendment number 2. Thank you.
Amendment has been withdrawn. Okay. At this time, having been read 3 separate times, House Bill 169. 3 separate times, question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Allemand? Andrew? Angelos? Banks? Bear? Brady? Bratton? Brown Gary? Brown Landon? Byron? Campbell Elisa? Campbell Kevin? Chestick? Clauston? Connolly? Davis? Eklund, excused. Erickson? Filer? Geringer? Guggenmoss? Haroldson? Harshman? Heiner? Heft? Jarvis? Johnson? Kelly? Knapp? Larson Lloyd? Larson JT? Lawley? Lean? Locke? Lucas? McCann? Nicholas? Ottman? Pendergraft? Posey? Provenza? Riggins, excused. Rodriguez Williams? Schmid? Sherwood? Singh? Smith? Storer? Strock? Stivar? Tarver? Thayer? Washut? Wasserberger? Webb? Weber? Worf? Williams? Winter? Wiley? Yin? Speaker Nyman? Are there any changes? Kelly, aye. To no. Further changes? Kelly, no. To aye. Further changes? Closing vote? Vote closed. 40 aye, 20 no, 2 excused.
House Bill 169 having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 169 has passed the House. Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House stand in recess until 2:15 this afternoon.
Are there any committee announcements? Representative Byron, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Committee number 6, Travel, will meet in 5 minutes in Capitol Extension Room 5 to continue House Bill 5, 204, and 211 if time allows.
Thank you, Representative. Chairman Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your committee number 8, Transportation, Highways, and Military Affairs, will meet in 15 minutes. So grab some lunch and be down there. Actually, let's make it 10 minutes. We'll start up at 12:30, and we are going to be hearing the continuation of House Bill 24. We'll be starting up House Bill 27 and House Bill 23, and if we have time, we will also go to House Bill 86.
Thank you, Chairman Brown. Any other chairman committee announcements? Seeing none, you have heard the motion of the majority floor leader. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? We are in recess until 12:15, or 2:15, excuse me. Yeah, oh my God, did we just lost some time?